Now, if a teacher, because of incomplete account number at the time, the system rejects, he's teaching genuinely, and if the numbers of such people are large, you'll be doing a lot of disservice to disable all of them at a time. And that is the rationale for the department. As part of our business process, if you don't have bank accounts complete, you'll not be paid. However, because of the practical difficulties, that is the reason we asked SoftTribe to relax the rule. And that is the same reason why the rules were also relaxed in IPPD 2.
Now, Imani had run a media commentary on issues bordering on ghost names, lack of transparent technology, disregarded moratorium on employment, national service payment, what it calls waste of $80 million on gifts, and faulty accounting systems. But the Controller and Accountant General's Department says there were serious distortions in the facts presented, and it takes exception to publishing of confidential correspondence in the media. So, how serious are these allegations? And what explanations has the Controller and Accountant General's Department got to give us? This is today's big story with me, Stephen Ente. Now, policy think tank Imani sometime last week in a publication by its president, Franklin Cudjoe, alleged that, quote, apart from busily padding the ghost payroll with more ghosts, the Controller and Accountant General's Department has refused to allow transparent technology to fix the mess in the public payroll, unquote. The Controller and Accountant General's Department hit back and said the publication by Imani is riddled with factual inaccuracies and amounts to bad press and attack on the integrity of the Controller and Accountant General's Department, unquote. But today at the press conference, the department sought to give full details and explanations point by point its position and disagreement with SoftTribe, the ICT software company that sold to the Controller its Aketua HRMIS payroll management software, which it calls IPPD3. Let's hear excerpts of the Controller's position.
120 subvented agencies out of a total of 140 agencies onto our mechanized payroll. And these 120 subvented agencies that we've migrated include all polytechnics, which were migrated in 2011. The Honorable Minister of Finance in November 2012 directed the Controller's Department to migrate the remaining subvented agencies onto IPPD3 and IPPD2 because we're running the two systems. At the time the Minister issued the instruction, agencies such as the polytechnics, the Forestry Commission mentioned in the publication had already been migrated. CSR, Electoral Commission, and National Pensions Regulatory Authority, which were also cited in the publication, were all at their final stages of migration and had been migrated onto the IPPD2. The rest of the agencies referred to in the publication have not been migrated due to legal and policy issues that were raised by the agencies themselves, and which issues are being examined. Now, to set the record straight, the payroll of the National Service Secretariat was migrated as far back as November 2010. The payroll of the National Service Secretariat, however, does not include the National Service personnel. Following the recent developments with the National Service personnel payroll, a decision has been taken to migrate the personnel onto the mechanized payroll of the Controller and Accountant General Department, starting with the 2015-2016 batch of service personnel. As announced, the current batch of the National Service personnel will be paid by the Secretariat through the e-Swiss system with effect from February 2015. The next issue raised by the publication, is payroll data on IPPD3, or what we call also the Aketua system. As indicated in our earlier press release, which is available for those of us who do not have copies, and this was in response to the publications made by Imani, we wish to reiterate that since the implementation of IPPD3 payroll system, the payrolls of the Ghana Education Service and pensioners which are run on this system are equally confronted with the same challenges that have been identified and have been addressed by the department.
Why? The Controller and Accountant General, Madam Grace Adjo, read an 8-page press statement to the media, and as a follow-up questions Joy News put to her, they told us that they're actually in consultation with the Attorney General's department to see if there is a case against Soft Tribe and Imani Ghana Limited. Imani President Franklin Kujo is now online now. Good evening, sir, and thanks for your time.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
No, great. It does appear that this is becoming a back-to-back war, like a turf war between yourself and the Controller and Accountant General. I need to say that there was an initial press statement to respond to some of the issues that were raised in the Imani publications. Now there is a full-scale press release and a press conference to further clarify the issues that were raised. Let me quickly go to the concluding part of that statement, then we'll start our discussion, just for the benefit of you if you didn't have that press statement to help objectively discuss the issue. Now, the conclusion says the department takes exception to publishing confidential correspondence in the media contrary to confidentiality clause in the SLA between Soft Tribe and the Controller and Accountant General Department. It also says that we take exception to the publishing of the letters and the full payroll assurance report from KPMG on the internet, thereby posing security threats to the system users and individuals. So let me put to you, do you see that any of the publications that you put out there actually threatens the security of Ghana's payroll system generally?
That is a very laughable position to take in the first place. I pay taxes to you, manage my taxes, and there are challenges with the tax, the payroll. You yourself have agreed that you have challenges. Then you go on to cite the fact that it is not just you who has challenges, but somebody else has challenges. How did all these things come about? It came about because I also saw a leaked report, which is the KPMG report, and nobody, in fact, no court can compel me to reveal my source of that report. It is just very funny. You use my taxes to conduct an audit, and you ask me that because I've leaked it to the press, because it was also leaked, then all of a sudden, that becomes a subject matter. Look, these are diversionary tactics. The fact of the matter is that, are we losing millions every day? Are we not losing money right now as we speak? Because the credibility of the payroll data the controller handles is fraught with a lot of challenges. And is it not true? Have they not admitted that they have challenges? 4 years on, when Soft Tribe first revealed the very issues to them, what did they do? 2 years later, when KPMG identified these issues, what did they do? Have they gone back to KPMG to ask them for a clean bill of health? Have they? Look, I suspect that it looks as if governance is lost on some people. You think you can use the threat of a court action to prevent what Ghanaians need to know when we are billowing 70% of our money on a payroll, which is problematic, and you want to hide under legalese and say that, oh, I'm going to seek official district. Go and seek it. They should go and speak before Soft Tribe too. I suspect they are also waiting for them.
So I mean, what I get from you is that you're not afraid of these threats, and you feel that they're just diversionary. What are they diverting from? Because earlier press release, the earlier press release, let me ask you, the earlier press release from the Controller and Accountant General Department did mention expressly that some of the publication issues and facts you brought out contain factual inaccuracies. So it went ahead to give full details of these factual inaccuracies. You still stand by it that a lot of the issues were accurate indeed?
No, but Stephen, what is the real issue here? don't they have ghosts on their payroll? They have admitted that publicly, that yes, they have challenges on their payroll.
But you also mentioned, Franklin, that the Controller and Accountant General was padding the system to just keep adding more ghost names, and the Controller didn't take kindly to that.
Well, you are the one in charge of the payroll. So once it is problematic as reviewed by ACMP, then what are you expecting me to do? Should I just sit there and clap for you? I suspect that these matters ought to be dealt with through policy dialogues rather than the threat of legal action. Because this is funny indeed. In fact, to even ask that your partner, and I understand there's an issue about confidentiality clause, you started accusing your partner, which is SoftRight, that they have challenges on their payroll, and they said they don't. And they showed this documentary evidence. Doesn't it occur to the media that there's a lack of trust between the two entities for a very long time? Why do you think SoftRight would have gone ahead to publish letters and add it when their name came up?
Now, frankly, the impression we got from the release of the Controller, the press statement that she read today, actually suggested that there were some kind of functionality problems with the IPPD2, D2, and IPPD3. The Controller actually said that the IPPD2 payroll system is compatible with GIFMIS and the IPPD3 is not. So the impression is that SoftRight perhaps feels uncomfortable with that position, that if IPPD3, which is the Aketua, is not compatible with government's migration to the GIFMIS platform, then perhaps they feel that they could lose contracts and a job with the Controller and Accountant General. You don't think this position is fair?
That is a very sycophantic and a very, very sad attempt trying to turn around the entire thing to make it look like SoftRight is the major reason why there are ghost names on IPPD2. This is not logic. This is not logic. In any case, why did you ask SoftRight at the point to turn off controls when they were detecting the fake figures? Is that not also in the public domain? Look, Stephen, instead of addressing this issue, to be frank with you, I don't even know why you called me. Because this joke about threats of action is becoming funny in this stuff. You want to guard free speech because we pay you taxes and you are returning your data. In any case, the IPPD2, as riddled with ghosts as we have, if they put it on GIFMIS, I swear, I tell you what will happen in this town. We'll lose many more millions. So if it is apparent that IPPD3 people are saying that, look, you've asked me to switch off controls 2 times, and I was on the verge of adding national service, you said I should stop. Is that not documentary evidence enough? They can choose to take a SoftRight to court. They can choose to add us as well. But I am telling them that I look as if they don't understand the issues about public policy. We pay you to deliver a task. If you are having challenges, you deal with the matter. Are we suggesting that because the first letter has been leaked to the press, then all of a sudden it becomes a matter of national security? Go and speak to Before himself. I'm sure he will tell you more than even what is in the letter. Because you know what is this whole thing is funny. It's like suggesting that there are confidentiality issues that have been made. It tells you that one person is not trusting the other. It has nothing to do with somebody not being comfortable or the other thing.
Right, frankly, we're trying to get Tete Antonio from SoftRight onto the line. He has agreed to actually speak to us and respond to a couple of points that were raised in the Controller's press statement today. But let me quickly ask you, I remember that you issued a 14-day ultimatum to the Controller and Accountant General's Department to respond to the issues which you have brought up, failing which you will head to the courts. Does this ultimatum still...
Auditor General.
The Auditor General. Does this ultimatum still stand?
Oh, that ultimatum still stands and occupy, and we might likely add the Controller as well. Because now it's beginning to look as if we should actually occupy the Controller and Accountant General. We will occupy them. Because you see, when the issues of the people begin to speak, no amount of legal threat. You see, by doing this legal thing, it is to suggest that we stay discussions in the media, nobody talks about it. My brother, it's my tax, and I have every right to ask for it. So don't hide behind any legalese and say that, look, this thing, somebody reported why. Is it the first time letters like this are leaked in this thing? Why? Beyond the commission inquiries and the rest, our letters not leaked. And what is in that letter that shows that there's some breach of confidentiality? It only shows that you acted in bad faith. But a minister asked you to hand over the thing to IPPC3. You didn't do it. Instead of addressing the issue, you are going about threatening people's legal action.
Right.
They should go to court. They can even go to the court of arbitration abroad, anywhere they want.
Frankly, you appear very adamant on your position. You raised a couple of issues in your publication last week. I want to quickly run through a couple of them so that we will go back and listen to some more of the press release, the press conference from the controller. You did mention that the controller and Accountant General's department was padding the system to just add more ghost names, and it has failed to use transparent technology to fix the mess. What exactly did you mean by that?
Well, from the matters that are coming up, it is clear that SoftTribe has alleged, in fact, it has proven that they asked them to stop switch off control so that faulty data can run through IPPD2. Is that evidence not there? Why are they not responding to that? So it is easy for anybody to make an inference and say, look, you are padding numbers. This is clear. It's straightforward. Look, SoftTribe is an internationally reputable company. They've been doing payroll more than any company in this world. Sorry, in this country. All of a sudden, you mention them telling the whole world that their system has problems. And I went to ask them, hey, this controller says your system is also riddled with a lot of ghosts. And they said they take 2 hours to run 70% of the data. You take 2 weeks to run just 30% of the data. And their data is such that their system is such that it can it can detect the ghosts even before they are added.
Right, frankly, I must pause you and we'll go back to the controller and listen to what furthermore of the statements she put out there today. But I must say that there were a lot of the issues which you have raised, Franklin, that the controller did actually explain. In the earlier sound that we played, she went ahead to give an example with a teacher from GES and the expectations from them, etc. Let's listen to more of that press statement and we'll continue with our discussion.
The department takes exception to the public to publishing confidential correspondence in the media, contrary to the confidentiality clause in the service level agreements that the department signed with SoftTribe. We also take exception to the publishing of the letters and the full payroll assurance. We are qualifying the full payroll assurance reports of KPMG on the internet, thereby posing security threats to our system, users and as well as individuals. We think that this is highly unprofessional and smacks of it brings out lack of confidence in the relationship. Because as I've said, by publishing these letters in the papers, there are officers who are authorizing signatures. By this publication, their signatures have been put on the internet. That's the risk we are talking about. Again, on the KPMG report, we are not averse to the KPMG report being made available, but we are averse to the whole report that has information that should not be put out there about staff, people who are on the system, users that are on the system, their user identity and all that on the internet. We think that it is very unprofessional, and we hereby wish to register our displeasure.
Right, so the debate and turf war, what appears to be trust issues that are boiling or bubbling between SoftTribe and Imani and the Controller and Accountant General still continues. We are joined on the line now by David Bolton, who I'm told is the technical director at SoftTribe. He's joining us now on telephone. Good evening, sir, and thanks for your time.
Good evening. Good evening.
I realize that this is becoming a bit of a tussle between yourself and the controller and accountant general. I'll go quickly to the main issue which was raised under the controller's statement, which she referred to as payroll data on IPPD3. That is your Akitua system. It's just a part of it which says that to date, the IPPD3 is unable to process payment vouchers, basic payroll report for the Ghana Education Service since it was deployed in 2012. The implication is that until the introduction of the electronic salary payment voucher system, heads of Department of Schools and GES did not have feedback on their payroll, on their employees on the payroll. Meanwhile, when the GES was on IPPD2, the department was producing the salary payment vouchers. This appears to be kicking the IPPD3's competence as compared to the IPPD2. Your quick reaction to that?
Okay, firstly, I'd like to say that we would want to study the press release in its entirety and respond appropriately.
That's fair.
To this issue, again, we raised concerns with the data that was migrated from one system to another. Now, the data in question was fraught with duplications and so on, and the payment vouchers that were being sent out on the previous system contains those duplications,
right?
To which we raised issue. Our system is perfectly capable and has always been perfectly capable of producing payment vouchers, but it doesn't make sense in printing payment vouchers for which we are not responsible for taking that decision. That's a controller decision. It doesn't make sense producing that data when the data is erroneous.
I see. That's pretty clear. But there were more like accusations or questioning of the competence of your system by the controller, who said that. You know, I want to read some of what she said, that other payroll data issues include questionable promotions and recruitment dates, wrong and zero bank account numbers, staff without SSF numbers, which are part of the data cleansing or cleaning exercise the department is undertaking. And it goes on to say it is erroneous to state that all the payroll challenges being faced could be attributed to the IPPD2 system. Right.
Now, if you would refer to our press statement, we did indicate that when we took on this data from the IPPD2, we raised issue initially in 2010 and further in 2012. And we stated clearly that there were problems with this data. We were requested to basically process that data as is. So I find it quite unfair to say that we are saddled with the same problems of data that we took on from another system and we raised the issue with and were instructed to go ahead with.
I see. So is it not fair to actually say, I mean, I'm just saying this on the back of what the controller said, that possibly SoftTribe might feel uncomfortable with the kinds of problems that are being picked by the IPPD3, in a sense that it is not compatible with the new GIFMIS, which is what government wants to migrate the whole data onto the GIFMIS platform. Possibly you're not comfortable, for perhaps you could lose the contractual arrangement between yourselves and the controller?
No, that's for want of a better word, a fallacy. In 2010, and since then, we've written more than 4 times to controller, stating that GIFMIS is fully compatible with our system and requesting for the formats for us to integrate directly into GIFMIS. That information has not been forthcoming. So it's a little unfair when it's being portrayed that it's sour grapes on our part, when that's not the case.
Right.
And the only way we feel we can defend ourselves is with documentation, and we're being accused of releasing confidential information
that threatens the security of the payroll system. That's what the controller said.
You see, there's one distinction. If there are any security issues on the payroll system, it was contained in the KPMG report.
I see.
Which we have not got We don't have a copy of that.
Which you have not published, so it is erroneous to say that you published that report, right?
The only documents we have published are correspondence between Controller, the Ministry of Finance, and ourselves.
Right.
We have nothing to do with the KPMG report.
Right, David Bolton, we're grateful for your time. But before I let you go, I know that we just had a very short time in exploring these issues, and we would love it if you could join us at 9 p.m. for our PM Express tonight, where we'll have 1 hour to probe the issues further. But I want to ask you, what is your reaction to threats that the controller might be seeking legal advice from the Attorney General's department and perhaps take you to court, sue you?
It's rather unfortunate the controller is looking at issues from that viewpoint. I mean, we're all looking to solve the payroll problems and to cut the wastage that's currently being suffered month on month. But I think the focus should rather be on solving the problems, saving Ghana millions of cedis every month, and moving forward.
Thank you very much, David Bolton. We're very grateful that you could join us at such a very short notice. The press conference just ended a couple of hours ago, and it was very difficult to get Subtribe to get official response. So you heard it first. Subtribe is speaking to us and saying that the key issue that the controller should be addressing is to solve the problems that confront the systems rather than threatening to take legal action against Subtribe and Imani. I still have Imani President Franklin Kujo on the telephone. So Franklin, here we are, back and forth. You, Subtribe, Controller and Accountant General. What is the way forward?
Anybody who is afraid of transparency always resorts to tactics. Look, the matter is simple. If you know you are not hiding anything, let's organize a forum. Come and show us what you have. Let the others also show us what you have. Let's stop hiding behind legalese and threats. My taxes are there. You are billowing money every month. Didn't the EU withhold $100 and something million just in December, saying that your payroll is fraudulent? What are you talking about? In September, didn't 22,000 ghost names from National Service come? Those are the issues. They can, if in fact they can create court in heaven and climb up there.
Right, frankly, we're grateful. I think that you're very passionate about this and a bit more agitated.
Isn't it annoying that I pay you, I've asked you to monitor my taxes, and then you sit by idle, do nothing. People tell you that these are the issues there. You use my own money to conduct an audit.
And then you threaten legal action.
Sorry?
And then you threaten legal action. That's the point
you
you're
didn't
making.
You didn't have the respect for me to tell me that you are using my money to conduct an audit report. Then the thing is leaked, and I chanced upon it, and I release it, and you are telling me that it is legal matter. Look, even they should read the KPMG report very well. I think it stated clearly there that they will not be responsible for what? If the thing is leaked or anywhere, anybody gets it from anywhere. I got it from the internet.
Right.
And I'm not ready to disclose my source. It will never happen. Nobody can compel me.
Right, Franklin, we're grateful for your time on today's Big Story. So thanks for joining us. And thanks to you, David Bolton from Subtribe, for also joining us to clarify the issue. My name is Stephen Anti, and we will carry forward with probing and discussions on this matter further on PM Express tonight. So make a date with Nana Nsakwa the 4th as we toss these issues back and forth. That's where we'll draw the curtains for today's Big Story. We'll be right back with the interactive segment. Do stay.